introduction.
Oh, okay.
Our guest poet is MK Chavez. Welcome. We're going to have MK do our reading. She has a brand new book available from Nomadic Press, which is a press in Oakland. Also has a sister press in Brooklyn, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think that's pretty cool. It's white coastal exposure. MK is very active in the area, both with her own work and her organizing work. The Lyrics and Dirges series at Pegasus Books downtown, Berkeley Poetry Festival annual at Berkeley City College, I believe, and much online. You feel free to Google MK Chavez and you'll find a wealth of work. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Glenn. Thank you. Yeah, I think a beautiful sunny afternoon is a hard competition, but I think we can still have a good time. I love to read for people, so I'm glad that both of you are going to be listening today. I usually time myself because I also like to talk a little bit in between poems sometimes, especially if we have a more intimate group. And I also use my phone as a prop at a certain point, so that's why I was pulling up here.
I'm going to close the door so we
Okay,
can,
great.
no sound competition.
Right, so I've got a few different types of poems here today. Some of them are feminist, kind of pro-woman poetry. I also have some political poetry, but I also brought some love poems today, and I always feel a little funny about reading love poems, although I do write them, because I feel like, love poems have gone a little bit out of style these days, I think. So, but I'm happy to share that with you guys today. All right, Artemis. Come ride my ovarian horns, down with the captive clitori, be free and speak my grisly bare lips. Wild. There are good bears and bad bears. I'm one of them, she-bear, a honey and potential man-eating mammalian. I forage because times are hard. I growl at all the wrong moments. It's a juxtaposition of my needs and the food in your hands. We've all clawed at someone. Remind me of the year I became the unknown visitor. I'm still learning Eastern and Western time. Once I was a dancing bear. Here are my teeth. What do you think? All right. I think this is the beginning of the, hold on a second. This is the beginning of the love poems, I think. Siri, do you love me? As I understand it, love refers to a deep, tender, ineffable feeling of affection and solicitude. Let me get back to you on that. Cha cha cha, cha 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 cha, says the fox, Siri says. Do you love me? Siri speaks without being spoken to. Electric evolution, hold on, another function, dysfunction. Tell me where to go, Siri. Hey Siri, what's that song? Siri says, it appears that human civilization has been awfully preoccupied with that question. Just ask Siri. Siri, call my name. Siri, call my mister. Siri, call my sister. Do you know, Siri? Siri, do you love me? Let me get back to you on that. You have my utmost admiration. I'm not capable of love. This is what I found for you. Online dating and other possibilities, and algorithm-generated remote access dating in some sort of safe mode. Tender, Tinder, stupid Cupid, swipe, swipe. Toilet sub-pig sent you a message. Flush. My utmost admiration. Virtual reality, in the cloud, no one cares what you're wearing. Siri says, you're looking for love in all the wrong places. Siri says, what's that? I found this. Here's what I found on the web for you. Here is who is toilet, subpig, compost, pumice, and silt. Siri announces the arrival of emails that are loaded with dick pics, which are x-ray photos. Siri says, you're definitely starting to grow on me. Siri says, no comment. This is about you, not me. Zooks rang. Ursa Major. When I said I wanted a wedding gown, I didn't mean put out the stars and the afterthought, oh no, what have I done? I didn't mean let's invite our friends to get drunk and drowsy and slowly disappear, all because of our love. Monogamy should not be wearing a girdle or an iron lung or a polyester pantsuit, although I do hear those are in again. Wedding gown should not mean covering every mirror in our home because our reflection has disappeared. What I meant was lift my veil, have sparrows crown my head, and invite every sweet animal in the kingdom to sing. I didn't mean let's black hole the aurora borealis. It used to be that a man could take his wife to a doctor who would slide something sharp into her and scramble the unhappiness right out of her brain. When I said I wanted a wedding gown, I meant I'm a wild beast, 3 leaps of the gazelle, let me shine. I wanted the heat that comes with the atmosphere of our separate lives, to be stripped of all gowns to shine like Ursa Major. I wanted the galaxy, the universe. So this next poem is I think it's going to be an epic poem, but it's in progress. It's going to be in progress, I've decided, for a very long time. So here's where it's at right now. And it's a love poem to California. Califas, my California, mi amor. Hummingbird heart over golden rolling hills. Please know it's not your beaches that make me love you. It's the fury in my liver and your Marysville men and your Chowchilla women in my marrow. You were thirst, drought, and dry as a bleached ocean bone. Still, I want your revolutionary hamlets, your murder doves, your tenderloins, your ghettos, wetlands, and marshes, devil mountains, the ghosts of your failed missions, and abandoned caves and your sunken ships. Bring me your she-bear, your grizzly, forever your strength, carnalita, your tongue, tambilingua, and your glorious Spanglish. Give me the indigenous in you, that we've been here longer than you in you. Califas, you are a rainbow flag and stone butch. Coastal starlight, you travel from Cuesta Grande, and you are track marks from the Chateau Marmont all the way to the Emerald Triangle. My love, you grow on the vine, your wine, your Mexican tar, you're known for it. Your wetlands, delta, and once a year sandhill cranes. Your monarch and pupa, how I love to watch you emerge from your chrysalis. Feed me your milkweed, redwoods, and non-native eucalyptus. California, your name is Tookie, Angela, Cesla, Harvey, Gertrude, Cherie, and Luis. You are Barbary Coast, men fighting men over something that shines promise. You are headlands, abandoned forts, sea lions, coastal range, and Tool elk. California, your malls bury your shell mounds. But this savage prays for you. California, you kill me, but you are reluctant. Flog and fog, you are a cold mistress, but I like when you are waking, rising from the ocean, moving over peaks. Cali, your fissures are not your fault. Golden arches of final goodbyes. You are shark-infested waters. You are El Capitan in the Salton Sea. Califas, island of my spirit, untamable Amazon, last sanctuary for the estranged. You hold my history like the white pines of Methuselah. All right, actually pulled it out my water. bird's eye view. I can't say the new world is kind. Public transportation has become Thrillsville. I put lipstick on because I love myself. Once I wanted someone else to love. It is an odd time not to care what others think. They say it's hard not to look into a mirror when you're looking into an abyss. Once, a girl who worked the split shift at a gas station said to me, "You're so nice. I'm surprised, because I thought you might slash my tires, because isn't that what all Mexicans do?" I could have spent a lifetime explaining. Instead I said, maybe you should still be afraid. Uber has built dorms. Now tenants emerge like moths. The new recourse is to live under the freeway, where the kindest act is for someone to see you. Everyone is praying. Are we praying for the same thing? The best next act might be to grow wings. The avalanche. The avalanche. Our sorrow is the shape of mountains falling. It is your face I see when everything comes down. I also know that love poems have gone out of style. We thought ourselves the needle of a snowflake in what was a blizzard, the drift of your touch flurried like snowdrift. You once had a way of raising the temperature in any room. I wrote you a season of poems. We were the coldest winter of our lives. How ancient the spiky hairs of violence that emerge from familiar tongues. Winter, a reduced visibility. I agreed to meet you in empty rooms. Someone once called you so very human. The snow globe fell and broke. Whose terrible idea was it to be archetypal? Against minimalism. I'm a collector, so I have an issue with minimalism. Against minimalism. I fucked your friend. He had a bullet living under his skin. I tongued the bullet until there was nothing left between us. It's gauche to collect things. I still do, including men, because you never know when you might need one. The tongue is forgotten, is foreign and forgotten object. Hang on to something long enough, and it becomes part of you. Getting it together. Summer, hot and sticky, people in and out of cafes going about their business, which might be to ask a stranger for change. And by that they mean money. Their hair matted into clumps, thin pit bulls at their side. The jaws of pit bulls are set to lock. Most of us feel creatures that can grab a hold and not let go. We enter the coolness of the theater to watch the biopic. In the movie, we see little James Brown and big James Brown, and we see him see himself in the mirror. The man I'm with squeezes my hand when Big James hits his wife. I cry quietly when Brown's mama comes back, only to ask him for money. So many ways we can be left behind. We get to the part of the movie where Big James has wrecked his life and his car and is standing in front of a mirror. And he says to himself, "Get it together, Brown." And I think of all the things that I say to myself when I look in the mirror. After the movie, he and I are back in the real world, where he pulls me across the street against the red light. He can't stand my fear of cars. Says, "Didn't we agree that you would trust me?" I plead, "Can we please wait? Things that we don't see coming can kill us." Later, we read about how James didn't hit his wife just once, and after that we read about football players who beat their wives, and then we read about women who wear rice jerseys to the Raven games. What does that say about women, he says. Which ones, I ask. All of them, he says, and turns off the light. I'm going to read a couple more. The new Whitehouse, finding myself among the ruins after Barry Ebner's monotype 031022416. Not colorblind, but a black and white conundrum of physics. All the same, some say object, shoot, invisible, all hide in this room of manifestation, bending light. To find me in this starkness, think of the geometry of flashes and bullets. The films of murders emerge slow, and if they ever do, this becomes the purpose of paint. Black and white are special effects. When they pronounce me a dead star, I will float on one of these white walls, the tale of a rendered object as broken and saturated edifice. It is possible to be hysterically and historically blind. Failed attempts to shield oneself blossom into deceptions. Once I was homeless. Now I've found a place where I might appear. On looking and seeing. We used to wonder, show me, what do you look like? Onlooker, onlooking. The meaning of voyeur is twofold, the pleasure, the pain, the politics of photography, absorbed into the everyday like a preface. Private, public, sometimes revenge porn. Sense of possibility makes us hurry to strange things because familiarity breeds a certain blindness. We are a new generation of selfie evangelists. How do you look when you see me see myself? Judgment is the oldest profession. Capturing the holy temple of our bodies, the risk, multiple focal points, all that gaze, all of the glory holes, all of our incarnations. How do you fill your emptiness? Studies suggest some things are genetic, after Michael Armitage's weight. My son will worry for another 3 years that he too may suffer from another lifetime, worry that he will be a man like the other men called family. When my son loves a man, he believes that man to be a good man, forgives too easily, is the kindest person I know, is a man who loves men and cannot easily discern the serpents that rise from mouths which can be a prehistoric place. His father accuses how I've made him gay. I revel in my superpowers. Pack animal etiquette can be brutal, and at other times benevolent. Vulnerable species huddle for warmth in strange places. Some pack animals eat their young, turn a queer child onto the streets. Sometimes the omega becomes the alpha. Sometimes they leave well enough alone. I have devised a warning system for my son. Some of us are like wounds, I tell him. Some of us rise. It's all the rage. Somewhere in America, a man takes a picture of a dog. He is trained to raise a front paw and salute every time Heil Hitler is uttered. At one time, film was calibrated only for white skin, but please don't mention it. Angry white men stare at me on buses. Name me blind spot. Today in Germany, Nazi salutes are illegal. So, welcome to America. And I'm just going to finish with this love poem, which is actually a love poem for my audience. So it's one for you guys. When my body becomes glass, A finger will play my edges and make me hum, like when bees basket anthers and stamen. Name me fragility and bruised petals, so see through me. Look at the violet of my natural disaster, my organs bruised boutique. The body no longer hides and seeks, stripped to basic. The blood you make surge, superior, inferior. Examination of my starfire, my bright and empty. Let this be my autopsy, that when you touched me, you made me sing. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's reconstruct this slightly.
Bring you a chair too.
Thank you. Let's scoot you up here.
Oh,
And let's give you water. And do we fit into my screen over there?
yeah, you look good. You want to sit down too?
Yes, I am going to sit down.
Would you guys like me to open these windows before you get started? Are you guys okay? Because you've been performing. Would you like a little more air?
Breath of
A
air.
little more
Yeah.
air? Because you've been performing. So I mean that.
A little breath of air would be nice. Well, that was great. Lots of interesting lines and themes, and let me get started with a question about a poet. Do you introduce yourself as a poet?
I do. Usually I say writer. I'm writing mostly poetry because sometimes I write in other forms.
Do you have an idea, both for yourself and more generally, of what the role of a poet is?
I guess I do. It's a little flexible, I guess, but I feel like poets are observers. And I think that poets' role is to actually be in the world and report on the world. And so I think that shifts a little bit depending on what's happening in the world, and where you live in the world and who you are in the world. I feel like you bring all these different things. I don't know if I would be writing what I write if I wasn't a woman, for example, because I wouldn't have that experience. But I think it is to kind of report what's happening in the world and to make people think ourselves about what it is that we are observing. Because it's not always clear what we're observing. Sometimes it's very clear, sometimes it's not.
Do you experience poetry as making things more clear?
Not necessarily. I think maybe sometimes it's more a case of calling attention, and it's a question sometimes, a poem. You know, and sometimes it's a statement, but I find that most poems are asking a question of the reader, or asking, they're asking the reader to come into an experience, and to experience it. So in that sense, I feel like it's a question.
Yeah.
It's a query, I think is probably.
What was that again?
It's a query.
Query, yeah. Yeah, I like the word experience. The poem isn't, certainly the poems you presented today were experiences. They weren't just descriptions. They were something the reader, the listener, as well as the poet goes through and figures out. There remains, in all of them, at least some mystery. It's not, this is how you're supposed to